All right. So I'm just going to watch the first fight. We'll see where you're at, and then I'm going to start talking about things. Okay. Here's Arya feeds. It's unlucky. You tried to help her. Okay. So, I'm gonna pop out actually, so we can just like bird's eye view this. Boom. Uh, so to start with, I love that you're up here. This is great. You do a lot of good damage. I think you drop a little bit early here. You let them sort of like you take. Ugh, your health bar didn't even tick down. Like a couple of people were kind of looking at you, kind of poking at you. You do have to worry about this widow, and maybe that's why you dropped. But you can also like get an aggressive angle. Like I'm not saying you have to do this, but your Rhine's in, right? So when I see Rhine this deep in, I really want to take some pressure off of him. I really want to be getting some kind of crossfire angle. Uh, and because you have mobility, you can always roll out and you'll be like low on the ground. So I don't think that the Widow can like possibly headshot you while you do that. And get out. But whatever, we play it like super safe. We decide not to challenge the Widow at long range. That's kind of fine. But then, again, remember we want crossfires. And also, and this is important, we really don't want people to get behind us. So this door here, like you got your Hanzo in here. I don't know if you even realize that though. I didn't see you look at him. Maybe you do know your Hanzo's in there and you know you're safe to ignore that angle, but I would have loved to see you. I mean, I guess you do see him in there. It's just what I'm thinking is if we're going to drop off that, we can push to here. Because where is the enemy team going to go, right? They need to push onto point. So once they push onto point, we're shooting them. We have that crossfire angle. We're shooting behind shields. We're shooting people in the side, in the back, as they push onto our team, right? We force them into a pinch is the idea here. And if they push us, you have roll and an escape and like, are they really gonna like chasing you all along your merry way? Like they don't have anyone that can chase you down really, right? Uh and you can still get back into the fight. I don't know. The big thing here is you're just like directly behind your tanks, low ground main, and it's almost the last place you want to be. No, I'm gonna say it's the last place you would ever want to be. Like it can, there are times where it can be okay to be here, but like everyone's shooting at your tanks, right? So you and your Ana here are just taking splash damage along with them. You're just eating all this up. The enemy team, their attention isn't split in any way. They can just focus all their fire in this super neat little line right here, right? How could they miss? They're going to shoot somebody. Everyone's going to be taking damage like this. But, and I'm not saying this is where you need to be. This is just like to illustrate a point. If you're somewhere else, XQCL here has to physically turn away from your team to deal with you, right? So long as you are safe and you don't die for a play like this, let's say maybe we're playing up here and we're playing this corner sort of thing. Anyone we get looking at us can't be shooting our team, right? You just want to make sure you have a good escape and etc. So like being this deep is bad, obviously, but try to avoid being in line with your team like this. Like I said, I'm not saying never, but it's like almost like a transition. You went there for a reason and then you're the fuck gone. And instead here, we're just in this open space. And here we're even like, now we don't have a Hanzo in here and we're just exposed to this angle. These are the things that can like get you surprised, get you killed by things, right? This is a little bit better. We try to help our Zarya. We can't. Unlucky. And then here's the real mistake. 2 1-tap heroes. If you sneak up on them, I love you sneaking up on one of them and killing one of them. That's huge. But it's literal suicide to try to take the 1v2 right now. I'm not saying you'll never pull it off, but they only need to shoot you one time. Either one of them only needs to hit you once. You need to hit them twice at least, right? So this was what we like to call an ego duel. You didn't need to take this duel, and you died for it. And like you could have maybe killed one and rolled and just gotten out, and then that's fine, right? You killed one and you left. It's still a bit of a risk to peek 2 at the same time, but they didn't see you, right? So you might be able to get away with that. But to choose to stay in and keep dueling was, it wasn't worth it, right? Because here's their response. 10 seconds, boom, and then they run back in, right? Here's your respawn. It's so much further. And this is actually one of the least differences in respawns on a map like this. Usually, the first point, the attacking team has an overwhelming respawn advantage. The second point, it's about even, depending on how far along the path the cart is, right? If the cart's in the middle, it's about even. And then the third one, the defenders have an overwhelming respawn advantage, right? And usually, the respawn advantage is more like what we see here, where there's their spawns, right? Versus here's where your spawn will be at that point in the game, right? So going for ego plays like this can actually be kind of fine when you have a respawn advantage, like trading, yeah? I died for a pick, but I knew I could get a pick, so I took it. Is worth it when you have respawn advantage sometimes, but it is not at all worth it when you don't, right? Because they can just regroup as 6 and take a 6v5 that they will likely win. So yeah. You have good aim. You have generally good... like, you play cover generally. You have generally good positioning sense. Like I said, I would love to see you off-angling more. Or looking for off-angles a little bit more. Versus, like, retreating to your team so much. But the big mistake so far was just egoing that duel. Okay, whatever. They use an ult. So we have our high noon. So first off, well, you might win this. We'll see how it works out. Actually, you probably will win this. Just fan the hammer, wait for a suck to end, and then fan the hammer again, or double tap him, whatever. But you got this elevator right here. Takes you up to here. You could also look to then like walk across, whatever. Again, you're defaulting to low ground main. Default to high ground off angles. Like it's not like you don't do that. You do, or at least you did at the very beginning. We'll see if you take them back. That's actually not that uncommon for people to like start off positioning really well, and then as soon as the game really starts going, they just forget about it all. So we'll see. Our team's not regrouping, but it's cool. We're winning anyway. taking these high grounds wouldn't take you out of the fight for very long, right? It's not like you have plenty of time to take them. Now we're only here because of the tracer. That was good, but so for all that I was like, come up here and poke, come up here and poke. Uh, this is for might talk about stages of the fight in a second, but basically this is poke phase. But our Rhine's been nanoed and is hard Wing, and we're Cassidy. Like, if you were on an Ashe, sure, because you would be able to do meaningful damage at this range, but Cassidy has such fall off, and our Rhine is walking in, which is going to push these people out of our LOS and push our Rhine deep into them. It means we need to win this fight. Yeah, we're going in. It's happening now. It is no longer the time to hang back and just poke safely. Hit our roll and get to here at least, if not like dropping off and getting to this wall, because you can back up along this wall for cover, right? Boom. Something, yeah? But we got to go in now. This was for early, and now our team's going in hard with ultimates, so it's time to commit. It's time to walk forward. Okay, I just want to see how much damage you did to that Ana there. 21 damage. You're doing 21 damage per shot, right? It is not worth. Now, this looks huge. It is a little bit late because we're down 2. But it might be huge, actually. Yeah. You want to know how to get consistent value? That's great. You need to be careful about getting that many people in your LOS, because if they look at you, you'll die. But because your tanks were holding them up here so far, like your tanks were so far forward, they didn't really have the opportunity to look at you. You did the drop, which was nice. Makes it a little bit harder to shoot you. But also, they had overextended, right? They were so far forward, they couldn't possibly get to cover. If you want to get kills with it, you need to make sure people are caught out by it. Oh. But remember respawns. You guys were already down 2. You get that 4K, which is nice, but then your Rhine stays in fighting, he dies, like, our respawns are still coming back, right? Our Zarya is just getting here. We need to regroup as 6 to take a fight, because these guys still have a respawn advantage, right? They're going to have 6 first. So that 4K you got is great, because it means they don't get to push the cart now. Instead of winning that fight, they lost that fight. But we're still down. We still can't take the next fight. So now we need to regroup with our team. We don't necessarily have to give up all of the space, but we should have reset up to here at least, where it's harder for them to do anything to us, and maybe even come as far back as here. And in fact, I would probably recommend coming back here, because if you're up here and multiple people take this elevator, you're dead, right? You won't be able to get out. But here, you'll see them coming if they start chasing you, and you can always drop off the back where your team's going to be coming, right? So, but we stay low ground. Overwatch, it's incredibly important to take 6v6 fights, to make sure you have all 6 people, like, as often as you can. It's such a numbers game. You lose about 80% of the 5v6s you take. So if your team is down 1 and the other team has regrouped, I'm not saying you never take those fights, but if you have the option of regrouping instead, you'll you're better off, right? You're almost for sure going to lose the fight otherwise. Okay. And one of the other reasons Cassidy in particular wants to be off angling, and I love that you're looking for that tracer, um, but because of your flash, like you're really good at shutting down flankers and people that are trying to get to your backline, your Ana and your Zen, right? You bodyguard them. In addition to off angling for picks and damage and splitting attention off your team, you also bodyguard your backline. You protect them. So there's two ways you can do it. You can sit on top of them and flash the dive when it comes in. That is your worst option, but sometimes it's the only thing that's going to work, right? Like, if they have a really good Doomfist that knows all the rollouts, like sometimes you just there is no way for you to catch them out early, so you just have to be here ready for them to come in. The other option is something like this, where we're on an off angle, where we think that Tracer might come through, where we can still be doing damage, shooting this guy, whatever, and like poking this guy out early before he can come in is huge. But we're denying the route this Tracer wants to take to our backline. By just standing here, doing something else, Tracer can't come through here now, right? Now, you're Cassidy, you can only guard one lane, and there is a whole nother one over here, right? So you're going to have to, this is where your brain comes in. And like, you'd have another DPS or an off-tank here in an ideal world, but this is ranked and you're in Plat. You're not going to see that, like, hardly ever. If people did that, if people do that, they wouldn't be in Plat anymore, right? This is like, we're leveling you up here. Hold whichever lane you think the enemy team is going to use and deny it. Doomfist is probably going to come up here, right? Because this gives them a nice, great slam. So why don't we play up here? Boom. And then while we're up here, we look to see if we see the Tracer blink through here or blink through here. And if we see the Tracer blink through here, we come back over here and we try to kill her from up here. If you gotta drop, you drop, but if you can just do it from right here, then this lets you shut down both flankers at the same time, right? Huge, big brain, and you have the aim. You have really good aim for this elo, right? You're gonna hit those shots probably, especially if you're not panicking because you're just sort of free up here, right? So look to shut down flankers as much and as often as you can. Get early damage on them. Just do not give them the opportunity to kill your squishies. And especially, your first goal is just to force them out. But if you can kill them as well, then you're up one instead of being down one, right? Good job. But now we gotta take high ground again. Soldiers going. You have two options. Option one, we follow our soldier up here. Option two, we follow our Rhine and we play like in here or in this doorway, actually, is probably where I would play. Boom. And try to control this flank angle. And then we're looking to counter rotate to drop a high noon behind them from here, or even from like up here, depending. So counter rotation, right? They're looking to probably come up here, come over, boom, drop on the cart, right? That's a smart play. So since we're just a Cassidy and we can't stop the whole team, we can't hold this angle from them, we counter rotate. As they're walking across here, we're walking across here. Boom. And now they drop and we're behind them. Pow, 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 huge high noon. Yeah? And then if we just barely peek this, right? Then we got cover too, so we can get back in after our high noon. But yeah, we're just low ground main right now. This is not where we want to be. Your team. This was a team effort. You couldn't have held that high ground on your own, but you guys as a team gave them this high ground for free. And this is so bad. This is so bad. They can just shoot you. Like, they can back up and you can do nothing to them. This right, you get a shield back, Ana can heal everyone up, and then they can peek over here and they can just shoot for free. Pew, 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 pew. And all you guys can do is die, lose your resources, lose your shield, or back out. Right? You never want to give them the high grounds for free. Yeah? You really want to make them pay for this. It's so strong for them. This is so strong. Yeah, I get that they're Rhine Brig, but who cares? You can't touch them up here. They're just free. And in fact, Rhine and Brig means it's even harder for anyone to go up there and do anything. See? You guys had the huge grav with the huge high noon, but it didn't matter because they just backed up as the grav ended. And you couldn't get enough damage through the shield. Like, you couldn't charge your high noon up high enough to break the shield and kill the people behind it. Dang. Oop. Okay. So, don't come out this way. Especially not when you see that fight coming here. Again, you're letting them concentrate their fire into a nice, long, narrow choke. Yeah? This is terrible for you guys and excellent for them. But if we come right here, we got cover and we can get an angle. And now, these tanks have a choice. Do they get shot by the Cassidy for free? Or do they turn to look at you and get shot by your team for free? Or do they back up, which gives your team space to walk forward? Right? Being behind your team does not make space for them to walk forward. Being on an off angle does. This is key. This is so, so, so important. This is literally the key to everything in this game. Tanks and DPS both have the exact same job. Making space is a group effort because it's not about where you stand. It's about where you stand relative to your team, right? Reinhardt, being the main tank, can't also be off-angling, so you got to off-angle for him. You have to help him hold space, right? And like, yeah, you kill the Reinhardt there, but it's in part because it's a Plat Rhine. He's kind of bad, right? They shouldn't have died there. They should have had Zarya bubble to live and then shield to back out. And Zarya could have body blocked with her bubble too. Like, the two of them could have played that so much better than they did. You shoot a lot of tanks, right? And it's because of where you're standing. They're just like the only target you have really is tanks. So what you're mostly doing is feeding the enemy support's ult charge, right? Because if you're shooting tanks at range like this, you're not often killing them. They're getting a little bit low. They hold their shield, and then Ana heals them up. Lucio heals them up. Their supports get ults, right? I'm not saying never shoot tanks, but like, you either want to be focusing down a tank with your team, or much, much, much better is for you to be shooting supports or DPS or anyone squishy, I should say. But like, that damage you were doing to the Rhine that the Ana was healing, if you're shooting the Ana instead, she can't be healing the Rhine, which means any damage she takes from your teammates doesn't heal up, which means two people are getting damaged. Right? Or two people are like losing health rather than maintaining. Peel the support that those tanks need away from them. When you get to my VOD, can I get a long one because I resubbed? Yeah, sure. I'm down. I just realized I forgot to take my meds. That's why I'm hungry. Ha! So we're gonna do at least some of the defense here. Yeah. I will be right back. I'm just gonna grab a snack and a beverage and my meds. Okay. Alright, I'm back. Alright, let's see how attack goes. I'm probably not going to watch too much more. I'm mostly just going to look to see if there's anything different. I feel like I'm probably going to be repeating myself a lot at this point. There you go. So, would have been nice if you taken this rotation a little bit sooner. I do want to be clear here. So there's a bit of a trick to this. So poking here is kind of fine, but then like basically with this first reload, once you crossed, so sure, shoot them a bit as you're crossing, but like either cross straight to here, so now we can come up here, take this, or now that we're here, hit your roll, because it's only a 6-second cooldown, so this will get you like to here-ish. It just makes the rotation faster. You'll have it back by the time you get to here. And oh, hey, look! There's an Ana that's just over 3 bars. You can literally one-tap this Ana. You can peek this corner and down she goes, right? And then the Mercy might look to res, because it's a Plat Mercy, which means you can roll Flash Fan the Mercy, and now we've just killed 2 supports, and we have respawn advantage. So if you die for this, who gives a thought? You did fine. And honestly, you probably won't even die for it, because you'll be like here-ish. They'll turn around, which you have cover, and if they start pushing you, they're turning their back on your team as your team walks in. You'll be fine, right? The enemy team's going to die. If they hard push you enough to kill you, they will lose the point for it. So again, who cares? But we just sort of stay here poking tanks, right? And we take it, and we hold it against 3 people. Take fights that you can win, and do not take fights that you can't. Literally just don't take them. We're walking up, we're walking up, we're walking up. We see that. Cool. I'm going to kill Darker Lol. This is great. But listen, we hear that, and that means you're pinched. If you walk forward and you shoot this at this Ash, this guy gets to kill you. If you turn and shoot at this guy, the Ash can turn and kill you for free. So even though we don't even know the Mercy's there, nope, we out. I would just back to like here and wait for this guy to walk out. And then I would flash fan him and I would roll out before the Ash can do anything to me. Right? Wait a beat, walk back up. Then you can either try to kill the Mercy when she's going for the res, or you can then one-on-one duel the Ash, depending on how it plays out from there, right? You don't have to stay in. Kill somebody, get out, push back in. Get out, push back in. Ebb and flow, right? But most importantly, just do not take fights that aren't in your favor. Right? There's just no way you were going to live against all three of them there, even with a Mercy pocket. It was not going to happen. In fact, you're lucky you didn't also get your Mercy killed, but for choosing to stay in when she came to help you. Like, she knows better. She ditched your ass rather than die for you. And then she pistols down the Ash. Okay. I'll watch one more fight. So, plays like this need to happen for a reason. Where's... Oh, I missed it. If you'd hit that, what were you going to do? Shoot him once or twice, fan the hammer into him, and then he gets his shield back up, and he backs out anyway. You already have your ultimate. There's no one who can help follow up. It literally does absolutely nothing. You just went for the play for no reason, right? And you walked in front of your entire team to look at all of these people to make that play. In an elo higher than this, you are literally already dead. I'm not exaggerating. Just walking up like that in Diamond, one of the biggest differences between Plat and Diamond is people's aim is significantly more consistent. A lot of Plat players sink or swim, right? Like sometimes they pop off and sometimes they do not. Diamond players have lots of other problems, but missing generally isn't it. So if you wave hello to this soldier and this Lucio, that's enough damage right there. Never mind that this Ana is also going to shoot you, and this right click's going to land too. Like, he's going to right click bullet, he's going to land the headshots, she's going to shoot you. Like, there's no way. There is no way you can look at these people in front of your entire team and expect to walk away alive. It's just not possible, above this elo, right? I say it's not possible. Ranked is a shit show, but I wouldn't want to rely on this many people fucking up this badly in Diamond very often, right? This game is a lot more tactical than, I guess I should say I remember TF2 being. It's been so long since I played TF2, so like, maybe I'm talking out of my ass here, but there's a lot less of this running in to kill them, and a lot more playing safe and careful and killing them. So like this guy here, sure, this is fine. Now we start shooting this Zarya, but there was no reason to take this step forward. Stay hugging this corner. There is no reason for you to leave this corner. You can still be shooting this guy from right here, and then you don't eat all that. There was literally no reason for you to leave this corner. You would have killed the Ana and the Zarya by now. right? And then you roll away from the Rhine when he gets grabbed, and he's dead too. And now they might clutch this back. Your team is having to use ults that they wouldn't have had to use. Of course, the enemy team's also using ults, but like, this is... No, you guys did lose this. I'm not saying it's solely your fault. They're like, everyone on your team is making mistakes. They're all Plat players, right? Unless they come across that I am flaming only you, it's just because I'm only watching you and I'm only trying to help you and not the other 5 people on your team. So, but this was a one fight. It was in your hand in particular to win this fight, and you threw it instead by just running in like this, right? It's, like I said, it's tactical. We play careful, we kill them, we rotate. We shoot them, we rotate. We shoot them, we rotate. And we do not die. Dying is the absolute worst thing you can do in this game. You always, always, always want to get out alive if you can. And if you cannot get out alive, if you recognize that, you know, you're just going to die, like this fight's lost, then you throw your body on the cart, on the payload, whatever, and you force the enemy team to kill you as quickly as possible so you reset with your team. You do not want to be a stagger. Your Plat players probably lose out on 1 or 2 fights, full fights at least, over a game this long. Like fights that you would have had. Just because of like inefficiencies in dying. Lower elo, it's egregiously worse. But like, even Plat, right? We can be living better. Okay, let's watch this play, though, back in your POV. You need to recognize that both your supports just died. Enemy respawns are already coming back. Right? I'm not saying... You kill 2, which is great, but you have respawn advantage, right? Your hog should not be feeding right now. Your hog should be getting out and resetting. He's still in. It's not worth. All you got to do is wait. Just wait. Just be patient. You do get the Ana, but like, now you're dead too. Teabagged. Soldier's about to die, maybe. Oh, maybe not. Yeah. Right there, you guys lost out on an entire team fight because you didn't regroup. You guys lost the fight for a solid minute. A general tip is that better positioning will inevitably help with better aim. Oh, yeah. Better positioning gives you targets that are less aware of you, which means it's going to be easier to hit. Better positioning also tends to give you a better view of what's going on, so you're less confused. You can choose better targets. And it also leaves you under less pressure. So, like, if fewer people are shooting at you, if you don't have to keep your movement going as well, it's easier to just aim and hit your shots. So it's easier to take a breath. This is low ground main, where she is going to farm you. This is an off angle where maybe we can do something. This is an angle where maybe we can do something and maybe eventually push. This is not where you live. Like, if you take nothing else away from this, stop being low ground main. It's so bad. You go here for 2 reasons. Because you have absolutely no other choice whatsoever. You've just been forced here. Or 2, to die. You go here to die. And that's probably what's going to happen if you get forced here, unless, like, you get really lucky or shit goes really good for you guys or really bad for them, right? So, yeah. Hopefully that helps. If you want to drop another VOD sometime, please feel free. And if you have any questions, hit me up.